Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today, we have got another Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 Prestige class for you. And today, coming at you from the Complete Arcane, we got the Elemental Savant. So, let's talk about them. We're going to talk about, what is an Elemental Savant? We're going to talk about how you go about becoming an Elemental Savant. Then we're going to talk about what you get as an Elemental Savant. And finally, we're going to talk about how good is the Elemental Savant and how you might use them in a build. So let's get started. All right. So first off, an Elemental Savant, what are they? Well, they're a mage, typically either a war mage, wizard, or sorcerer. War mage actually fits really well with them. That takes a particular interest in one of the four classical elements of either fire, water, earth, or air. And I guess instead of water, cold. And the elementals associated with them, of course. Now, earth being acid, air being lightning, water being cold. And they take a particular interest in this, and they become really, really fascinated with this particular element to the point that they stop using the others to only focus on this one element and get really good with just this one element. So that's basically the Elemental Savant for you. They're quite good at their particular element, but they can't use the others. So yeah, let's talk about them a bit. So let's talk about what it takes to get in. First off, you need Knowledge Arcana 8 ranks and Knowledge the Planes 4 ranks. Okay, fairly simple, straightforward stuff right there. Feats, you need Energy Substitution with either acid, cold, fire, or lightning. And then spells, you need to be able to cast at least 3 spells that have one of the following descriptors: acid, cold, lightning, or fire. And at least one of them has to be 3rd level. Yeah. And then special, you must have made peaceful contact with an elemental or outsider that has an elemental subtype of earth, air, water, or fire. So yeah, that's basically all there is to it. Now, I would also specify that you need to have everything match up. Like, you can't go mixing and matching stuff. Like, if you have the substitution for fire, then I'd say you need 3 fire spells, one of them 3rd level. And you need to emit a fire elemental. Personally, I would throw that in. The book doesn't specify that, but honestly, I would say that whatever element you pick, you gotta stick with it for the other ones. You can't mix and match. The book doesn't specify you can't, though, so that is a bit of a DM call. But I suspect I'm not the only DM that would make that particular call. And that's what it takes to get in, and that's all it takes to get in. So let's talk about what you get. So first off, D4 hit dice. Not great, but typical for a caster. They also get bad base attack bonus, bad fortitude and reflex saves, but good will save. Again, very typical for an arcane caster. This is the Complete Arcane after all. So yeah. Then they get spellcasting at all but 5th and 10th level. So their spellcasting will advance at most levels. So that's pretty good. They get elemental specialty at 1st level. This will make it so that they are not able to use any element other than the element that they've chosen. Not only that, but they basically are forced to use their energy substitution feat any chance that it applies. They have to do it. Basically, anytime that they're doing a damage dealing spell, they have to substitute the energy for the kind that they're doing. It doesn't use any level higher or anything. It's not even really a meta magic at that point, but they're basically they are substituting the energy at all times, and the descriptor changes. So yeah, but it is only energy types. So that is a bit of a downside, that they have to do that every time. They also get resistance to energy, so they're going to resist the energy type that they've chosen It's going to start out pretty small at just 5, but it will go up to a full 20 at 7th level, and then they actually get immunity at 10th level, which would basically replace that energy resistance 20, because I mean energy immunity is just energy resist infinite. So yeah, let's see. They get immunity to sleep at 2nd level, immunity to petrification at 3rd level. They get energy focus at 5th level. Or sorry, not immunity to petrification. What I'm reading all funny. It's energy penetration. Oof. At 3rd level. This one will give them a +2 to their caster level check whenever they use a spell with their energy type. That will go up to +4 at 8th level, so that's not bad. That's actually quite nice, especially seeing as it does stack with other things that do the same. So yeah, this one they also get energy focus at 5th level. This will make it so that any spell saves, the spell save DC for any of their spells with that descriptor are increased by 1, and then later by another 1 at 10th level, so a total of 2. They get dark vision at 6th level, out to 60 feet. They get immunity to paralysis and poison at 9th level, and then at 10th level, the one where the second one that they don't gain casting, they gain a few things. So they're going to gain elemental perfection first off, which is going to give them a lot of the effects of an elemental of their type. So they could gain earth elemental traits, or fire elemental traits, or air elemental traits, or water elemental traits. There's a number of them that they get. They gain a movement ski. They get a lot of the attacks. They get a lot of the things that an elemental gets. You'll have to, the book specifies all the stuff. Wasn't able to memorize all of it, but you gain a lot of their special abilities, which is pretty big, and something to really consider when deciding which elemental form to go into, because that makes a big deal. You also start to change a little bit. Your skin and eyes typically will start to resemble that of the type of elemental that you've turned into, at least a little bit. Although you didn't fully turn into them, there are some differences. Like you still have your soul, you still have your form. Like you don't look like a normal elemental. You just have some minor physical traits, but your type does turn to that of elemental of that type. So yeah, can definitely be interesting. Gives you some nice immunities. Pretty good stuff all in all. And then of course they get energy immunity at 10th level. As I'd already mentioned, they are just straight up immune to their own particular element and are not able to be affected by it. So 2 elemental savants, 10th level of the same element, especially if they're war mages, are going to be pretty much useless against each other, because they're basically going to be immune to all of each other's attacks. So yeah, that's a thing. But yeah, that's the elemental savant for you. So let's talk about how good they are. The fact that you have to only pick one element can be a bit of a downside. If your enemy knows that you only have one element that you have access to, they can very easily just pick up immunity or resistance to that and make your spells a lot weaker. That can be a real problem. Or if you're not fighting like a specific enemy that is on a regular basis. My campaign's doing that, but maybe you're just fighting random regular stuff. If you happen to run into something that has resistance or immunity to your particular energy type, you're going to be in for a bit of a struggle, because you're not going to be able to fight it particularly effectively. None of your blasting spells are going to work. So that's a bit of an issue. But aside from that, you are extra good at that with that element. So if you have your element and you really want to be good with a particular element, this is absolutely the way to go. Now, personally, I think one of the better options would be to if you're going to do this in a party, have multiple elemental savants in the party, each one with a different element. That way you can kind of balance each other out. So when one isn't able to fight effectively, the other one can. Or maybe you have all 4, so even better. I personally think this would go better on a war mage, since They do focus on the blasting spells, and so does the Elemental Savant. So there's a lot of really good synergy between Elemental Savant and War Mage. So I think that's probably your best entry class for this particular prestige class. Although you can get in just fine with a wizard or a sorcerer. Wu Gen's kind of a weird option. You can also do it with like a cleric, but only certain clerics will qualify, and it's not the best for a cleric, but it does work. Yeah, you could potentially do a dip. A 3-level dip isn't too bad. You get some of the best stuff for just a 3-level dip, and you don't lose any casting. Although you do still end up being forced to just use one energy type. So going dip is a little bit of an issue in that regard, because even one level of this forces you to only be able to cast with one particular element for basically forever. So that's kind of an issue. Going all 10 levels gets you a lot of nice stuff for elementals too. So honestly, if you're going to go into this, you're probably better off going all 10 levels. That's what I got to say about the Elemental Savant. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I always love hearing from you. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel for more D&D 3.5 content, because I do one of these on every single class, race, and prestige class in Dungeons & Dragons in 3.5. So ring that notification bell so you never miss out on a video. Anyways, as always, I'm Mitch, and I'll be seeing you